If you're looking for an escape, many people will likely be looking for other travel destinations over spring and March break due to the ongoing violence in Mexico and that worsening situation in Cuba because of the U.S. oil blockade. So joining us live this morning with some tips is travel expert Lorraine Simpson. Lorraine, Canadians have been avoiding the U.S. for about the last year. Cuba was a destination Canadians were, going to pretty regularly. Mexico as well. Now this is unfolded here. So outside of Mexico, Cuba, and the U.S., where would you advise people be looking for trips, especially now? Because this is kind of like peak winter travel, spring break, March break.
Well, I think that Mexico is going to be fine to go to, particularly the other side of the coast, Cancun and that coast there, the Mayan Riviera, will be totally fine. And there are flights even to Puerto Vallarta right now. They're starting to come back up again. And people, obviously, they can't go to Cuba, lots of Dominican, even places like Guadalupe and St. Lucia is big at the moment. Colombia is another big destination for Canadians to go to, direct flights, of course. But there's all sorts of further afield places. How about going to somewhere like Thailand? There are flights. I found a package to Thailand, and it's $3,400, including your flight over March break. I mean, I know it's a further play. It's farther to go, but, it's an overnight flight. And what a great opportunity to take advantage of.
Yeah, and in terms of that sort of idea of affordability-wise, Lorraine, I think one of the concerns that, we were sort of, bandying about in our meeting the other day is, with other destinations, perhaps, Cuba, for one, is kind of like almost out of the question. Some people may be mixed feelings about Mexico, that the prices of other destinations may go up because the demand may rise there. Are you seeing that, for example, Dominican, Colombia, Bonaire, places like that, where, if you're within a sort of 5-hour flight, that maybe the price is bumping up a little?
Absolutely. The prices have gone through the roof. I cannot believe how much it costs to just go for a 1-week vacation. So here are some tips that you can do. You can take away the all-inclusive, because actually sometimes all-inclusive is going to rip you off a bit. And by the time you add up all of what you might spend on meals, you're really not doing worse off if you're going to go non-all-inclusive. So that's the first thing. And secondly, do an alternative day search. So instead of thinking, okay, I have to fly on the Saturday, maybe you can fly on the Monday and come back on the Monday, or go on a Monday and come back on a Sunday. So look at that. And then also look at alternative destinations and see what comes up. Of course, check the reviews, and it's always better to use a travel agent because they'll do all of this for you. But look at alternatives like I found Dubai with the flight, all inclusive at a Riu hotel, and we all know Rius as Canadians, to Dubai for $3,400, including flight. So, don't rule out farther afield just because you're thinking, gosh, that will cost me a lot more money. And new areas like, for example, Miches in Dominican Republic. It's a new beach area. There's quite a few nice hotels gone up there. And that's another alternative destination. So don't just put Punta Cana, put Dominican when you're doing a search, or things like that.
Yeah, I suppose, Lorraine, in some sense, this could be an opportunity for some other destinations, like you said, that may be sort of undiscovered, for them to kind of, rise up and get people's attention here. Because, of course, with people, like you said, don't type in specific places, just type in countries, and you'll see what's available.
Absolutely. And new destinations. And also don't rule out cruises. One of the things I used to do when I was a single mum with my children quite young, flights were what was really the most expensive part at March break. So we would pop the kids in the car and we would drive to somewhere like New York or even Florida. It used to take about 24 hours to get to Florida, road trip. And we'd get there and we'd get on a cruise. And some of these cruises are very inexpensive because don't forget, in Canada, March break is a very, very popular time. But the rest of the world might not be that particular week. For example, in Europe, the big holiday is Easter, and it's not yet Easter when it's March break. So we do things like Disneyland Paris because it's starting to warm up at that time in Europe. So it's actually a good destination. And 5 hours to Dublin, 6 and 7 hours to somewhere like Paris. So don't rule out far further afield. That's my biggest tip. And widen your search to look for alternative destinations that might be really cool to go to.
Absolutely. Okay, well, we certainly appreciate the tips this morning. That is travel expert Lorraine Simpson. Lorraine, thanks for the time again.
Thank you very much. Nice to see you again.
And you.